Libra, stop scrolling for just one moment, because what you're about to hear isn't a coincidence. This is your week. The breakthrough you've been waiting for is already unfolding. Hello, beautiful soul of the Zodiac, and welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot. This is a deep and sacred horoscope reading for you, dear Libra. And if you're here, listening to these words, please understand, it's not random. The universe has whispered your name across the stars to lead you here, right on time. You've been carrying so much lately, silently striving to keep things in harmony, to keep the peace, to keep everyone else in balance. But who's been doing that for you? Pause. Take a breath. Put your hand over your heart. Can you feel it? That tiny flutter? That soft inner pulse like something is about to begin? That's not your imagination. That is divine alignment. Because from May 4th to May 8th, a powerful energy gateway is opening for you, not just in love or money, but in something far deeper, the return of your own sacred balance. This is the moment when all that you've given, all the silent sacrifices, all the compassion you've poured into others, begins to come back. And not as crumbs, but as cosmic confirmation, as abundance, as love, as power, as truth. And yes, this reading is your sign. This is your personal message from Spirit that your return season has begun. Have you been seeing repeating numbers lately? 444, 111, or maybe even 777. Drop the number in the comments. It's not just a coincidence. It's your activation code. And before we go any further, allow me to take just a sacred second to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. For being here. For every like, every comment, every subscription, every share, your support breathes life into Zodiac Whisper Tarot. It allows us to keep offering transformational messages that might just shift someone's life path, including your own. Your energy is what makes this community real. And Libra, trust me, you'll want to stay with me all the way to the end of this video. Why? Because the messages Spirit is about to reveal are nothing short of miraculous. And by the end, you'll realize, it's not just the world that's shifting. It's you. So tell me, what did the stars do to pull you here today? Was it a whisper in your dream? A flash of déjà vu? Or maybe, just maybe, a deeper part of you already knew this message was meant for you. If you're ready to reclaim what's been quietly waiting for you in the background, let's begin this journey, together. There's something quietly magnetic about this moment in your journey, Libra. It's not loud or urgent, it doesn't come crashing in like a storm. Instead, it arrives like a soft breeze through an open window, nudging your awareness toward possibility. What's happening now is a shift in alignment, a sacred recalibration of your inner and outer world, where the energy of your ruling planet, Venus, joins in harmony with the Sun and Jupiter. This rare cosmic dance isn't just about astrology, it's about timing, value, and vision. And most importantly, it's about remembering who you are and what you deserve. Venus speaks the language of worth. Of beauty, yes, but deeper than appearances. Venus governs what you value, and how you believe you're meant to be valued by others. And for so long, Libra, you've been trying to keep the scales balanced, often at your own expense. This week, however, something shifts. You're not just seeking peace anymore, you're remembering that peace includes you, too. When Venus and Jupiter connect under the light of the sun, your gifts come out of hiding. A project you thought was forgotten might rise again. An opportunity you thought had passed may circle back. This isn't coincidence. It's the fruit of patience. It's the return of something that was always yours, but required you to believe in yourself just long enough for it to arrive. Think of this as a gentle awakening. Not the kind that drags you out of bed, but the kind that stirs something in your spirit and says, "Why not now?" That idea you shelved because life got in the way, maybe it's time to take it off the shelf. That version of yourself that once dreamed wildly, maybe it's time to invite them back into your present. There's wisdom in understanding divine timing, even outside of religious context. Not everything is meant to happen when we want it to, but rather, when we are truly ready. And readiness isn't perfection. Readiness is willingness. That's all this energy is asking of you right now, a single step. A sentence on a page. A phone call you've been putting off. A commitment to your own joy. You don't need a full plan. You just need a pulse, a heartbeat behind a dream. And maybe you've been taught to wait. To be polite. To not ask for too much. But consider this, there is nothing humble about hiding your light. There is nothing selfish about answering the call to more love, more expression, more freedom. Sometimes the most sacred thing we can do is simply accept the good that's trying to reach us. Not because we've earned it by suffering enough, but because we are allowed to grow without guilt. You are allowed to receive without proving anything. You are allowed to succeed without making yourself small. So maybe this week, your only job is to stop second-guessing the invitation. You already feel it in your gut. That sense that something is shifting, and not just externally, but in your own expectations of what you get to have. You're not being asked to change who you are. You're being invited to return to who you were before you forgot you were worthy. And if you needed a reminder, here it is. You don't have to do it all at once. You just have to start. Write it down. Say it aloud. Whisper it in the mirror, I am ready to receive this. I am enough for this. I choose to show up now. Because that's what abundance responds to, not perfection, but presence. And you, Libra, are already more than enough. Now let's see what happens when you say yes. Sometimes the answers don't come in the form of big, dramatic events. Sometimes they arrive quietly, like cards gently placed on a table, waiting to be understood. And in this reading, dear Libra, each card speaks directly to the sacred work you've been doing behind the scenes, in your relationships, in your choices, and within your own heart. This is not just a forecast. It's a reflection of you. It's a mirror the universe holds up to remind you of where you've been, and more importantly, where you're now being led. The appearance of justice as the first card is no accident. In fact, it's almost poetic. You, Libra, are the embodiment of balance and fairness, and justice confirms that the scales are finally tipping in your favor. What you've given, often quietly, is now returning to you. This card isn't just about external rewards, it's about internal validation. It's the moment where you realize you don't need anyone else's approval to confirm the integrity with which you've lived. When you lead with heart, kindness, and intention, as you often do, reward follows, even if it takes time. Following justice, we meet Temperance, the quiet alchemist. She appears when healing is no longer just an intention, but a reality unfolding gently in the background. This card tells us that your inner efforts to remain calm, to avoid extremes, to bridge emotional divides, are beginning to blossom. And this blossoming is subtle but powerful. It's the way you no longer react the same to things that once hurt you. It's the way you listen to yourself first before asking the world for direction. You are becoming a calmer version of yourself, not because life is easier, but because you have changed. Then comes the Two of Cups, a beautiful sign of connection. This doesn't always mean romantic love, though it certainly can. It often reflects the presence, or arrival, of someone who meets you at the level of your soul, someone who sees you, not for how balanced you appear, but for how deeply you care. If this person is already in your life, expect that bond to deepen in the days ahead. And if they haven't yet appeared, open your heart. You may be surprised by who is quietly gravitating toward your light. With the Six of Pentacles, the message becomes more grounded. It's about give and take, but especially about receiving. For too long, you may have given from a place of obligation, generosity, or pure love. But now, you're being asked to allow others to give to you. It can feel strange at first, especially if you're used to being the one who holds it all together. But giving and receiving are both acts of love. Let yourself be on the receiving end now. It's part of the balance you're learning to restore. The Page of Wands is a whisper of momentum. It doesn't shout, but it does encourage. It's that flicker of inspiration you've been brushing aside. That nudge to try something new, even if it's small, even if it doesn't make sense yet. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you're ready. Take one step, and the next one will show up. Life responds to movement, not certainty. And finally, we see the star. What a gift! This is hope renewed. It's the quiet truth that the wish you once made, the one you thought was forgotten, has been heard. You may not recognize how close you are to that wish coming true, because it might not look exactly like you expected. But it's coming. Not to fix you, because you were never broken, but to reflect the light you've been shining all along. You planted the seeds. Now, it's time to notice the bloom. This week, let the story these cards tell be more than symbolic. Let them guide your choices, your thoughts, and your willingness to trust again, in timing, in goodness, and in yourself. After all, as one quiet teaching reminds us, when we do the right thing, even when no one sees it, the reward is already on its way. You don't have to chase it. Just keep walking in light. It will meet you there. It's often in the quiet spaces of our lives where the most profound shifts take place, not in grand declarations or sudden leaps, but in the subtle changes we barely notice at first. This week, Libra, you're entering a phase where your external life, money, work, health, begins to reflect the inner alignment you've been nurturing. There's something incredibly healing about that, isn't there? Knowing that your internal balance is finally translating into tangible results, even if they show up gently, almost shyly, at first. Let's talk about your finances. You may have experienced periods where you gave more than you received, or where you worked diligently without seeing immediate payoff. But there's a soft reversal happening now. Delayed payments, forgotten promises, or shelved ideas may circle back around, not as leftovers, but as golden opportunities. What felt like missed chances might actually have just been delayed for divine timing. There could be a message, a conversation, or even an old project that reawakens this week. If something once felt too early, too risky, or too uncertain, take a second look. Maybe the world wasn't ready for it before, but now, it might be exactly what's needed. And remember, abundance doesn't always appear in large, dramatic amounts. Sometimes it shows up in small shifts that restore your confidence, a new client, a creative breakthrough, a budget that finally balances. Often, the real reward is not just in the number on your bank statement, but in the way you feel about your ability to create and manage what's yours. God doesn't call us to hustle without rest, but to steward with wisdom, and that means recognizing both the value you offer and the value you deserve to receive. In your career, subtle recognition is brewing. Maybe you're not being publicly praised, yet, but someone is noticing. Whether it's a mentor, a superior, or someone quietly inspired by your consistency, your energy is leaving an imprint. Keep showing up. Keep delivering with integrity. The results might not always be immediate, but they're unfolding. Think of it like seeds beneath the soil. Just because you can't see the roots growing doesn't mean they aren't there. You are being lifted, not loudly, but steadily, from the inside out. If you're at a crossroads professionally, trust that even uncertainty has purpose. Not every answer will come at once, but clarity often grows out of commitment. Don't underestimate the power of showing up daily, even if all you do is move the needle 1 inch. Purpose often reveals itself not in a single defining moment, but in the quiet accumulation of small, honest actions. Now more than ever, your well-being matters. Libra's energy is delicate, refined, thoughtful, and deeply attuned to beauty. But when out of balance, it can become overstimulated and overwhelmed. This week, the invitation is to nourish yourself not only with food, but with stillness. Prioritize rest. Give your nervous system a break. Trade late-night screens for a cup of calming tea. Listen to your body before you listen to the world. Wellness isn't just about being disease-free, it's about feeling peaceful in your own skin. Balance isn't a perfect state, it's a practice. One you return to, gently, again and again. So if life feels quieter this week, if progress feels slower, don't mistake that for failure. Consider it the grace between efforts, the holy pause where God reminds you that growth doesn't always look like motion. Sometimes, the most powerful transformations are the ones unfolding inside, waiting for the right moment to bloom outward. Keep tending to your energy, your work, your worth. The harvest is closer than you think. Not everything that returns is meant to stay, and not every silence means something is lost. This week, Libra, your relationships, both romantic and familial, are moving through a quiet shift. It's not the kind of change you announce out loud, but the kind that stirs softly beneath the surface, asking for your attention and your tenderness. Whether it's love that's blooming or old energy circling back, what's different now is you. Love, for you, has always been about harmony. You seek connection that feels equal, fair, and deeply mutual. But over time, maybe you've learned that balance doesn't mean giving yourself away to keep the peace. Healing in love starts with that realization, the quiet reclaiming of your emotional center. If someone from your past reaches out, notice your reaction. Not the one you perform, but the one that rises unfiltered. That's your compass now. You're no longer looking for someone to complete you. You're seeking what complements who you've already become. If you're in a relationship, this week invites deeper honesty. Not confrontational, not dramatic, just real. A calm kind of truth-telling. The kind that says, "This is how I feel, and I trust you enough to hear me." Avoiding the hard conversations might seem easier in the moment, but the foundation you're building needs to be made of something stronger than silence. You don't need to have it all figured out, you just need to be willing to show up with your heart open. That is the beginning of a relationship that lasts. And if you're single, this is not a call to go searching, it's a reminder to stay rooted in your truth. The right connection doesn't require you to shrink, to impress, or to over-explain. You don't have to chase what's meant for you. The kind of person you're attracting now is someone who's looking for you, not the version of yourself you thought you had to become. This week, trust that simply being in your own light is enough. That your calm is magnetic. That someone out there is already attuned to your frequency, and it's only a matter of time before your paths align. Beyond romance, the realm of family and emotional ties holds its own gentle weight. Perhaps you've felt a sense of distance with someone close, not necessarily conflict, but space. A pause. This week offers a beautiful opening for reconnection. It might be through a message out of the blue, or an unexpected moment that softens the air between you. The healing here isn't forced, it's invited. And it begins with willingness. Whether it's reaching out first, or simply being open to hearing another's truth, your energy of grace can shift the atmosphere. Sometimes the most healing sentence is, "I've missed you," even if I didn't know how to say it. And if there's grief, or a strained bond you're still untangling, remember, forgiveness isn't always about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from holding what no longer serves your peace. You're not meant to carry old stories on your back forever. What God teaches us through human connection is simple: love requires presence, not perfection. It grows when we're willing to begin again, to listen without needing to fix, to give without expectation, to let others in even when we've been hurt before. This is your chance to write a new chapter in how you relate, not just with others, but with yourself. If you find your heart opening a little more easily this week, don't be afraid. That's not weakness. That's healing. That's growth. And the beauty is, the more at home you become within your own emotional truth, the more clearly the right people will find you, and the more deeply your connections will root themselves in something lasting. Let that be your quiet miracle this week, the gentle return of connection, wrapped in honesty, trust, and grace. Sometimes, the most meaningful shifts begin not in our outer world, but in the subtle language of symbols, the colors we're drawn to, the numbers we keep seeing, the gentle nudges that seem to whisper, "Pay attention." These details may seem small at first, but they carry resonance. They tune us into frequencies we didn't even realize we were part of. And this week, Libra, those frequencies are rising in your favor, not because something dramatic will happen overnight, but because you're more open, more aligned, and more present than you've been in a long time. Colors carry energy. They are more than aesthetics, they're emotional cues, frequency carriers, and subtle affirmations. When you choose to wear, see, or surround yourself with certain tones, you're not just expressing taste, you're choosing alignment. Sapphire blue, for instance, has a naturally calming vibration. It quiets the mental noise, brings clarity, and strengthens your inner voice. That's no coincidence, Libra. As an air sign ruled by Venus, your thoughts can swirl quickly, especially when trying to make decisions that affect more than just yourself. Bringing in sapphire this week, in your wardrobe, your journal, your space, is like giving your mind permission to breathe. It says, "Let me return to stillness so I can hear what's truly mine." Soft blush pink, on the other hand, wraps the heart in gentleness. It holds the vibration of self-kindness and receptivity, something you're being called to embrace right now. So often, you give with grace, hold space for others, and try to meet everyone where they are. But now the invitation is reversed. Can you meet yourself with that same grace? Using this color intentionally can help ease emotional tension and make room for the kind of love that doesn't require you to overextend or prove anything. It's not about painting your whole world pink, it's about letting softness have a place within your own. And then, of course, there are the numbers. These repeating sequences aren't here to predict or control, they're here to confirm what your spirit already knows. Take a moment and feel which number pulls you in. Is it 6, the number of unconditional love and harmony? That may mean a relationship in your life is being guided toward healing. Or maybe it's 8, a symbol of abundance, empowerment, and a cycle of giving and receiving that finally feels equal. If 12 is speaking to you, it could be a sign you're at the end of one phase, just about to begin another, wiser, clearer, more aligned. The number 24 might be guiding you to emotionally restore something that once felt lost. While 33, a master number, indicates spiritual support, reminding you that even in your doubts, you are being held. And if you keep noticing 77, it's likely that your inner knowing is deepening. Trust it. You're not imagining things. You're evolving. All of these signs, the colors, the numbers, are not random. They're not here to overwhelm you with meaning or demand belief. They're gentle tools. Anchors. Reminders that life is layered and meaningful, even in its quietest moments. And perhaps the most empowering message of all is this: you don't need to wait for external validation. You can start aligning with your path now, just by paying attention and choosing presence. Just by listening inward. Just by honoring what calls to you, even if no one else sees it yet. This week, let your intuition speak through beauty. Let your choices be a prayer for clarity. And remember what we're often taught, not in sermons, but in the quiet wisdom passed through generations, that blessings rarely arrive loudly. They arrive in peace. In color. In whispers. And when you're ready to listen, they become unmistakable. So take a moment. Which number has been circling around you? Which color feels like comfort to your soul? Comment it below. Say it aloud. Let it root you into this moment of awareness. Because sometimes, acknowledging the sign is the shift. You've spent so much of your life trying to keep things in harmony, Libra, making peace, softening conflict, carrying emotions that weren't always yours to hold. But this week, something shifts. The universe no longer asks you to be the keeper of balance for others. Instead, you are being invited to stand as the center of light, no longer seeking permission to receive, no longer needing to shape yourself to make others comfortable. You are allowed to be fully seen without editing your heart. You are allowed to say yes to the blessings coming your way, not because you've worked hard enough, or proven yourself, but because you are ready. And readiness doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes, it just looks like being willing to stop running from your own truth. Everything you've been giving, your time, your care, your patience, your love, it's starting to return. And no, not always in the way you expect, but in the way your soul needs. This return is more than financial abundance. It's about emotional fulfillment. A sense of inner recognition. That quiet moment when you realize, I don't have to chase what's already mine. So, let me ask you something, not as a reader, but as a fellow traveler on this path. What would change if you truly believed this was your season to receive? If you stopped negotiating your worth and started trusting your energy? What would happen if you paused long enough to accept how far you've come, not just in achievements, but in how much more gently you've started treating yourself? This week, give yourself permission to stop overcomplicating your healing. Let it be simple. Let it be soft. Let it be enough. Whether you feel ready or not, the wheel is already turning. All that's left is your yes. And now, I invite you to claim this shift for yourself, not just in thought, but in action. Leave a comment below with one of the following. A balance scale emoji to honor your journey toward inner harmony. Or share the one thing you're calling in this week, something you're finally ready to receive. Your words matter. Your energy is felt. And when you speak your truth into the world, you give it shape. If this message has resonated with you, thank you, deeply, for being here, for listening, and for showing up for yourself. Every like, every comment, every subscription brings you deeper into this community we're building together. And it also helps us keep sharing these soul-aligned messages with others who need to hear them, just like you did today. Libra, you don't have to keep earning your place. You already belong. Now it's time to live like it. Keep balancing, but more than that, keep choosing yourself. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and remember, you were never meant to beg for the light. You are the light.